You're back on the air with the Restaurant Brokers as we talk to one of America's most requested speaker, Nancy Friedman, also known as the Telephone Doctor. Nancy's programs are sought by those who want to raise the bar in customer service and increase their revenue.
A unique, motivational, and humorous presenter, Nancy's program fit all industries and job titles. Her laugh-out-loud, dynamic presentation have been presented in dozens of countries around the world. Her topic of sales and customer service is universal. Oprah, The Today Show, CBS This Morning, CNN, and Fox News are just some of the few of the national shows she's appeared on over the years. Named one of the top 25 most influential businesswomen in St. Louis, Nancy's common sense and down-to-earth material makes great sense. The author of 7 books on communications, sales, and customer service, Nancy's articles have appeared in the Wall Street Journal and USA Today, as well as dozens of other publications. Nancy will inspire and motivate you and leave you with material that you will use for the rest of your life. Her programs are high energy, high in content, and best of all, high results. She was a speaker at this year's IFA show, and we caught up with her a little bit later.
Nancy, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing here at the IFA.
Well, I'm Nancy Friedman, the world's only telephone doctor, and we go around the country training corporations and franchisees and ours to do a better job when the public calls or walks into their operation. So bottom line, we help companies communicate better with their customers.
Wow, and you did a seminar at the IFA today.
We did a program. There were about 100 some odd people, which this is my first IFA, and I am overwhelmed with the love and passion here. I do love it myself. We were a franchisor. We had 5 franchisees. That's a whole other radio interview right there. But we're a small family-owned business now, staff of 28 in St. Louis, Missouri. There's our building right there. I'll show you a picture. So 10,000 square foot building. But the customer service and sales end of it, our passion, everybody in our office has a passion to help other businesses, because they say communicate better with their customers.
Now, I have to tell you, as what we run into quite frequently, particularly with millennials, and those are the people that are frontline staff for a lot of restaurateurs, they know how to text, like their fingers are a blurred mess. You can't even see what they're doing, and they can get communication across that way. But that old-fashioned skill of looking across the room or talking into the telephone is sorely lacking. Do you agree with that assessment?
Not only do I agree with it, but when I do the programs, and it's, oddly enough, was the one question I forgot to ask this morning, is how many of us have some sort of new employee orientation program on customer service? And I'm always appalled, frankly, at the lack of training that's done. Now, these kids, they don't get it yet, but they're starving for this information. They are starving for it. So when I get a group of the millenniums, and I don't care what age, if that's 16 to 35, whatever it is, they will invariably come up and say, thank you. They don't want to be bad. What we teach is not in schools. It's not in corporations don't do as good a job as they should. So through our training, and we have 7 divisions of telephone doctor, through our training, and there's online training, which the millenniums love. There's workshops, there's Telephone Doctor University, there's mystery shopping, there's a DVD training. So, I mean, it's just the list goes on of how we can help companies communicate better. And you're right on the millenniums, but again, they're not bad kids. We hire them, we bring them on, and we say to them, not we, but they do, okay, now be nice. Just remember, and smile. Well, yeah, those are 2 very important things, but that's not training.
Absolutely. So what is the most important thing that you would tell a restaurant owner today if he were starting out, that was ground zero, and he could do anything to improve his business? What would you tell him?
I would tell him to have a daily training program. Daily training program. Now, training doesn't need to be long, and it doesn't need to be expensive. So 5 minutes before we open, 5 minutes after we close, sometime 5 to 10 minutes. I said it this morning at my session. If you want it to be important, you've got to make it be important. And so do you brush your teeth every day? You need to train every day. That's the bottom line.
I think that's a wonderful analogy. So you're meeting lots of folks at the IFA. Anyone stick out in your mind? Have you met one of these superstar franchisors?
Well, they're all superstar franchisors. I'm overwhelmed, and I'm not easily caught at a lack of for words. I'm pretty good on my feet. But this has been our first time at IFA, and I hope it's not the last, but it is an amazing group of people, and I welcome, obviously, calls from them. Does anybody stick out? They all stick out. They're my children, but I love them all. Maybe sometimes one a little bit more than the other, but they are a great group of people.
And so tell me a little bit more, do a little bit deeper dive into that training as far as just telephone skills themselves. Like, what are the basics? Because I would say it's surprising to me. We're restaurant brokers, so that's what we do for a living. The number one thing I tell people when they come on board, which is amazing, answer the phone. Don't let it roll to voicemail. Now, I'm sure you go far, far beyond that.
We go far, far beyond that, but you're asking me to pinpoint one thing. Restaurants have a real difficult time. I probably shouldn't say this, but they're not high on our list of clients. Yes, we have chains, and yes, we do restaurants. Here's an example, and I won't say the name because you would recognize the name. Very, very upscale restaurant in St. Louis, a 5-star restaurant. And he calls me, he says, I want you to come in and train my staff. And this is a 5-star restaurant, and he's coming to me. I was flattered. And he said, what do you charge? And I told him, and he says to me, I don't want to buy your company. I said, let me ask you a question. How much are your steaks? Well, they were off the wall, off the chart. I said, I don't bargain with you on your steak prices, because why? He's, well, the best in town. I said, you're talking to me. Okay, I'm the best in town. So, training isn't expensive. Training's inexpensive. Training's only expensive if you're not doing it. I mean,
lack of training is very expensive.
Oh, yeah, I got confused there, but you're right. Lack of training is very, very expensive. And I don't understand why more people don't make it a mandatory, this is what we do every morning. Now, we're in New Orleans, and I was at Emerald's place a few years ago, and we happened to get in before the doors open. He was doing a daily training program. 3 minutes of rah, 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 what do we want? And at the end, they all put the hands in the middle like the football team, and yay! And you've been to Emerald's, I'm sure, and you understand the mentality. They don't let down. They don't let down. Now, could you have a bad experience at one of his restaurants? I'm sure. One person can screw it all up. I mean, I've had a bad experience at Disney. I mean, that happens, but it's not you don't blame the whole company for it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Great, great advice from the telephone doctor. Now, if folks want to learn more, where can they find you?
We are in St. Louis. The phone number, I'll give you the 800 number, because that's always nice. That's 800-882-9911. We always repeat a phone number twice and slowly. 800-882-9911. We have 7 divisions. Call up and say, Nancy sent me.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Okay, that wraps up our interview with the telephone doctor from the IFA. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Restaurant Reality right after this very short break.